discussed a secret war plan in a group chat that included a reporter from The Atlantic. In light of that,
we have to look out for ourselves. An end to sending dollar after dollar south of the border to a nation that is threatening us. Best for Canada, given the unreliability of America. Serious discussions, sovereign nation to sovereign nation, comprehensive, Canada strong against America.
Can you give us and as well, there's a report that members of Trump's cabinet and senior security advisors discussed a secret war plan in a group chat that included a reporter from The Atlantic. In light of that, do you have any concerns about Canada sharing confidential information with the U.S.?
I think that, I have had in various guises top secret security clearance here in Canada, elsewhere. I have it again. I'm aware that from time to time information leaks. It's a serious, serious issue. And all lessons must be taken from any of those, including in this circumstance. We have a very strong intelligence partnership with the Americans through Five Eyes. Mistakes do happen, but what's important is how people react to those mistakes and how they tighten them up. They don't deny the mistakes, but they are clear and transparent in addressing them. But I'll just say one other thing, if I may, about the broad thrust of your question, if I may interpret it. Our responsibility, my responsibility, is to plan for the worst, is to think about the most difficult evolution of the new threat environment, what it means for Canada, and how do we best protect Canada. And part of that response is to be more and more Canadian in our defense capabilities, more and more Canadian in our decisions, to take greater ownership. As I said in my remarks, and you've heard me say this before, we have to look out for ourselves. We are modernizing NORAD, investing in new technologies and working with new partners, including Australia. And I made an announcement in Nunavut last week to protect Canadians. We are building new military installations and increasing the presence of Canadian armed forces in the Arctic to defend our sovereignty, the North, and those who call it home. And since the end of Pierre Poilievre's Conservative government, defense spending has more than doubled. I repeat, defense spending has more than doubled in the last decade. But it's not enough for the new environment we're in. And that's why today I'm announcing my plan to rebuild, reinvest, and rearm. We will expand the capabilities of the Navy with new submarines and additional heavy icebreakers to defend the North. We will deliver an unprecedented acceleration of investment in our armed forces so that we can defend every inch of our sovereign territory, while helping to support and defend our allies abroad. The National Shipbuilding Strategy. That's over 21,000 jobs across the country, including 9,500 right here in Halifax and Dartmouth, supported each year through the construction of 8 Arctic and offshore patrol ships and 15 River-class destroyers. That Canadian troops defending Canada at home have the same equipment capabilities as those defending our allies abroad. We will expand the reach and the ability of the Canadian Coast Guard and integrate them into our NATO defense capabilities. We will give the Canadian Coast Guard a new mandate and the right equipment to conduct maritime surveillance to secure our coasts. We will also create first-class drone capability that will build and deploy aquatic and airborne uncrewed vehicles to defend our Arctic, our undersea infrastructure, our borders, and yes, our allies. And when doing this, we will ensure as much as possible that Canadian companies benefit from Canadian procurements. An end to sending dollar after dollar south of the border to a nation that is threatening us. They will use Canadian steel and aluminum. They will use Canadian suppliers and companies. They will use and employ Canadian workers. And that's all part of a broader modernization of how we procure. We will modernize our procurement legislation so that our forces can buy equipment when they need and what they need, which is now. Now, we don't want any more excuses for leaving funds on the table when we need to strengthen our defenses. Every dollar will be focused on value for money, ensuring we make wise investments in building our capabilities and getting us to our 2% NATO target before 2030. What you do is you prepare for the worst, and part of that is what we have done in the last weeks. We have made substantial changes to our unemployment insurance program to support Canadian workers. We, unlike the Conservative Party, which is going to use the tariff revenues for tax cuts, use everything for tax cuts, by the way, we are going to use retaliatory tariff revenues to protect Canadian workers and to reinvest there. We have put in place major financial support mechanisms for Canadian companies. We are going to allow them to defer tax payments, also for liquidity purposes. We put in support mechanisms. Cody is behind me. For the Minister of Agriculture is behind me, support mechanisms in the agriculture sector as well. So we've taken a number of precautionary measures so that we can react quickly there. We also have in place a schedule of goods for which we can add retaliatory tariffs to on April 2nd, depending on what the Americans do. So we have done that work and have the ability to put those tariffs in place. And with respect to the president, the point is to have substantive discussions. The point is not theater. The point is to get serious. Sovereign nation to sovereign nation. That's what we're looking for in terms of putting this trading relationship back on a new path that works best for Canada, given the unreliability of America. But the tariff response in the near term is several-fold. One is everything I just mentioned, I won't repeat, on protection for workers and firms and others. Secondly, retaliatory tariffs in a way that has maximum impact on America and a minimum impact here on Canada. So we'll be very deliberate on that. Thirdly, it's Canadian procurement, a greater focus on Canadian procurement. And you will have heard in my announcement today this focus on Canadian steel and aluminum. And of course, Irving can be a big part of that as we build out. Fourthly, all the measures to build our economy strong. And that's why the federal-provincial meeting last Friday was so important, because that commitment to move to free trade in Canada, with the federal government, my government, committing that we will remove federal barriers by Canada Day, legislate to remove those barriers. This is huge. I mean, look, the people behind me have great skilled trades, and actually they have a whole career ahead of them given the shipbuilding contracts. But some of them, for family reasons or other reasons, might want to move to Alberta for a job. They're mechanical engineers, or they're electrical engineers, or they're skilled welders, tradespeople. They might want to move to Alberta, BC, the Northwest Territories, for some opportunity. We're going to make sure that they can do it like that. Okay, that's a different thing. So all of that doesn't sound like a trade response, but it is a trade response. And I'll put it again. This is doing it because it's right for Canada. We're in charge of our destiny. But the other thing it does is it shows the Americans that we're strong. And we're going to get stronger while they get weaker, because they are inflicting harm on themselves with these tariffs. And that is going to put us in a better place for negotiations when they come. And that is a crucial point. We're not rushing to the table to take something. Serious discussions, sovereign nation to sovereign nation, comprehensive, Canada strong against America as equals. And that's when we will get the best deal for Canada.